The women are being punished, but so are the children.
My child, my baby, she doesn't even know me, and it's really hurt, it really hurt.
The war on drugs is the campaign America has led in order to wipe out drugs wherever they find them. The war on drugs is officially a failure, with a 1% success rate and the cost of about $46.7 billion US. But still it continues. It started back in the 1970s, but puritanical policies go as far back as 1900. Has addiction affected you or those around you?
Addiction hasn't affected me personally, but it has affected some of my family, like my brother, and I can see how it's changed him, and it doesn't really appeal to me.
So what do you think of some of the addictive substances that the government allows?
I think that the only reason they're allowing it is because it provides too much profit for them. There's too much money going into their account.
Drugs have been causing problems in society since their introduction. The USA has shown an inability to solve these problems by themselves. Their so-called war on drugs has imprisoned many and led to privatization of their prison. This has kept thousands of people captive. The prison system leaves people in solitary confinement because they need help. This mass incarceration is due to for-profit prisons that make money off the amount of people that are instituted in them. That's why they made a mandatory minimum amount of people who go to the prisons. If the mandatory minimum is not reached, they will fine the state. So, has addiction affected you or those around you?
Yeah, it's affected some parts of my family.
What do you think of some addictive substances that the government allows?
For example, nicotine, it's quite pointless, and people are putting it into vapes now, which recently there's some stories about people dying due to vapes, because it's just liquid going into your lungs, it's not good for you. So I feel like that should be banned, because I don't think it benefits you in any other way. Alcohol can benefit some people in a way to relax, but in others it can make you quite angry as well. So it just depends how much you consume and stuff. They say that they try and stop it by putting bad photos on the packets, but it doesn't stop anyone who's addicted. No, I don't know much about the war on drugs.
So why do you think people become or risk becoming addicted?
To have that one happy moment, I think, and then they get that low part, and then they want that happy, and that's how people get addicted, because they just always want to feel the good part and not the bad part. So that's why people always go to the next best drug when that drug's not keeping them happy.
So what do you think of how the country treats addicts?
Go back to drugs, because obviously they can't live with the fact that they're homeless. Maybe if they were to put him in housing as well as do what they're doing to him, maybe that would benefit him, but I don't feel like it would work.
So you think it's less of the substances, power, more of his environment?
Because if you're a celebrity, well, even with celebrities, but you have more of the people around you are more likely to support you and help you out and stuff, and that's more likely going to get you off. For example, Demi Lovato, she overdosed, but her manager was you need to stop, and then that's how she came off of it, because family members were helping her out along the way. But if you're homeless, you've not got that support system other than the government.
What do you think of how the country treats addicts?
I think some of the only times they actually try and help them is when they have enough money. If they're famous, or they're an inventor and they can literally put themselves in the care, or someone can do it for them through their account. think that's when they start treating them better and putting them into better homes. Like with Amy Winehouse, she went into a home.
Yeah.
But in London at that time, how many people with addictions were there struggling? They did not care for them at all, unless they could afford it.
No, a lot of cases are like Amy Winehouse, and not a lot of them have as much money as her.
No.
I've seen like stories online of girls who have dated guys who are addicted to heroin, and they got them addicted to heroin.
There's a lot of them like that. I can't think of any right now.
Do you know how many people are killed by alcohol or nicotine?
I do.
Can't remember the statistic.
In the UK,
This is all around the world.
probably in the millions.
6.5 million.
It's really bad. I thought it would be a lot more, to be honest. Purely because of all the cases you hear and the amount. If you think about the amount of people you know who had
It's
to have their stomach pumped or
normalised
exactly
nowadays.
You think I thought there'd be a lot more, to be honest.
Everyone's talking about, oh, heroin's making people overdose, but so is alcohol and nicotine.
Alcohol is very bad for you. You can,
Yeah.
if you have a few glasses of wine a day or a few bottles of wine a day for like a year, that can cause serious liver damage.
Yeah.
Like serious bad to the point where you need a transplant. Like you'd have to have someone else as part of their liver just to get yours back a bit more. It's not good for you at all, but it is technically a drug, but it's not one of the most. It is one of the most addictive ones, but it's not one of the most dangerous ones.
It's addictive because it's abundance. It's everywhere. You can go down to shops and get it.
And
So-
it was.
How do you personally think addiction works?
I think people who are addicted don't always know that they're addicted. Most of the time they don't actually think they are. They think it's just them trying to help themselves, and it's not. They don't actually see what it causes, like their body to do. I think that's when they start wanting it more and more. Like,
So, what do you think about how the government allows cigarettes?
I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
They put all these like photos on cigarette packets and all these warnings and all these signs up at train stations saying no smoking, but they're not willing to make it
It's not
legal.
actually doing anything.
They're not willing to stop it coming into the country. They're not willing to do any of it. Raise the prices so people are less likely to buy it. They're not doing any of that because it makes too much profit for them. It benefits them too much to get rid of it. That's how I think of it. It's not worth it. But they keep making it so that people want it more because they keep bringing out all these different types of tobacco and all this strength and nicotine or whatever. They're not doing much about it.
So, do you think elimination of these substances is an option?
Is an option.
Like, getting rid of all the heroin at once?
Can't do that.
Exactly.
There's too many people making it in their homes. It would become such a rare thing. It would go for more money than it would be worth. It would be people trying to experiment with all the drugs and trying to make different ones so that they could just replace the ones that have been illegal.
A lot of it about drugs is about, like, people will pay any price, addicts will pay any price to get their drug.
That's why they go into debt. That's why they go into prison. They
Yeah.
would do anything for it because they're addicted.
So, do you think the government handles drugs effectively?
No. I don't think the government handles drugs effectively. They're careless with it. They just put it in a locker and leave it there. They don't actually dispose of it. They just send it back to where it came from. They leave it. They just say it's not their problem. It's literally how they do it.
It's cheaper just to keep arresting people rather than lowering the amount of crime in that certain state. Addicts can't get clean over fear of prosecution, and they aren't being supplied with safe, effective methods to detox. This means they don't have the skills and support that detoxing requires. One of only 4 stay sober, it's unlikely they will get off drugs effectively. Addicts can take many drugs to help with the detox, but none are strictly safe or without consequences. These drugs even profit off the clients that depend on them. People have shown more profit in countries that have decriminalised drugs rather than their persecution. Supervised injection sites have helped several countries overcome drugs, but only used as a last-ditch effort. Yeah. Do you know how many people marijuana has killed?
None.
It's none. Yeah.
Except for psychiatric reasons, when they become paranoid with themselves.
Marijuana has never killed anyone for the sole reason they were smoking marijuana.
Yeah. Like, no one's ever overdosed.
It's always been from either a disease they prior had or some other complication. Do you know how many people have died from alcohol and nicotine this year?
Yeah, a very large amount.
It's 6.5 million. I took that statistic 1 o'clock on the 12th of November.
Sure.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, I was going to hope you'd have that.
It's the whole country.
Yeah. Do you know how much money criminals make off drugs?
A lot.
That's why they're good at doing them.
Yeah.
It's 350 billion.
Jesus.
That's from the same date.
God, that's a lot. That's why a lot of people do it, I guess. Unfortunately. It's a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
For me, I like watching documentaries about crime, and they always show like the mug shots of when they were like younger, and they've got like clear skin, like they actually look young, and then like 10 years later and they look like 60 years old with like spots and like scars all everywhere and stuff.
It's actually shit.
Yeah.
Do you think you know how addiction works?
Roughly, like I've not had an experience with an addiction, so I can't like speak. But obviously, because of a family member who was addicted to alcohol, it's a very painful process because you start isolating yourself from a lot of people because you don't want them to see you like that, and then it gets worse because you need more, and it's expensive. It's just overall not very good.
Do you think elimination of these substances would work?
No. I feel like, because, for example, even with alcohol, like, you can't just ban it because it's been out for years and so many
It's been done before, like,
yeah,
they just started drinking harder alcohol.
Yeah, and people started dying because it wasn't pure and it wasn't done properly. So you may as well give them the proper stuff so at least they have longer to live than if they were going to do the bad stuff.
The war on drugs has created narco-states. This means that a country's main GDP is due to illicit substances. This means that to have a decent paying job, they will have to go work for the drug dealers and either export drugs or distribute them. This also means the government may be corrupt, and the narco-state has little to no hope of ever being free from the power of drugs. The USA has 25% of the world's prison population due to its privatization. There is a 40% black population, where white kids are more likely to try drugs, black kids are 10 times more likely to be arrested. When addicts do overdose, they can't get the medical attention required, and they're not equipped to handle it on their own. The American prison system targets people of lower class who can't afford decent lawyers, and targets immigrants and minorities because of advocacy of fascist beliefs under the guise of patriotism and free speech.
I think that places that are banning drugs, a lot like with marijuana, places are also like unbanning them in a way. I think they're not putting as much effort in as they could if they really wanted them out, because I think they could do more security checks, they could check more, the police could keep to their oaths they make and not be bribed by certain dealers or anything like that. I think when it comes to keeping drugs out of countries and banning them, they're losing the war on that one. It's not doing as well as they can do.
Right. So why do you think people become addicted or risk becoming addicted?
I think people risk becoming addicted when they're prescribed certain drugs, like antidepressants or sleeping pills and that. I think if they find they can't get that feeling from what they're getting then, like the prescribed drugs, they're just going to find something else to fix it for them.
Some drugs are designed that way, so you're not capable of coming off of them. And medical drugs included. Previously, for sleeping pills, like you said, there was a drug called barbiturates. It's a heavy sedative, but you can never get off it. You risk going into a coma or dying if you try to leave barbiturates.
You've been in the penitentiary, different little things might upset her, all through her childhood, and this is not good because you can cause a child to really lose what's up here. And it makes me feel like I want to lose what's here because I know that I brought it, that since I'm here, it's going to reflect on them. They're going to really hate me, I believe that. They're going to hate me. And I hate this, I really feel bad.
Within a jail. A woman we spoke with would spend 30 days there. For what?
Threatening an officer.
What does it all do to your mind, sitting here looking at the walls for...
Well, sometimes I feel like it's going to drive me slightly crazy, but I'm not going to let it, I hope. I try to kind of keep myself together, but it's very rough being here like this most of the time with no one to talk to. Nothing to look at but four walls and a book, and I've read so many books, I'm running out of books because they never change them. I'd like to be able to at least see out of a window, get a breath of fresh air once in a while. Be treated like a human being, not like an animal in a cage. They told me I had to be kept back here because my behavior couldn't be controlled any other way. Yet on my record, I have never hit anyone, I have never fought anyone, I have never attacked anyone. I have never tried to hurt myself. So what's to be controlled? I'm a person, not a wild animal to be controlled and kept in a cage like this. I have a very non-assaultive record, yet they say my behavior cannot be controlled, so I have to be kept back here for a large amount of time. I tried very hard to get transfer at this institution. Because of the way they kept me locked down, I've been locked down altogether for almost 5 months, between administrative segregation and back here. And back here you can't even get a cigarette, which may not sound like much when you can have them, but it's very hard to be back here, You can, you can get nothing, not even, you don't even have your dignity really back here. Simple human dignity and rights that I think every person should have, regardless of whether they're convict or doing time or what.